Welcome back to the Mad Spideyverse. I'm Mad Spidey, and thanks for tuning into my channel. Today will be the next installment in my artist series. This will be episode number 6. It will be based on a Brazilian artist named Marcelo Mueller. Not as well known as an artist. He is mainly known, he has done some work for IDW, for Dark Horse, mainly done some Zenescope stuff. He's probably most well-known stuff would probably be, he's done quite a bit in Grim Fairy Tales and also in Lady Death. I know there's a lot of Lady Death fans out there, so you may know his work. I discovered Marcelo in probably, I think it's probably 2012, 2013. Now if you've watched some of the previous videos in my artist series, you'll also know that when I first started collecting my original art commissions and things like that, I didn't necessarily go everything Spidey like I do now. I did diversify quite a bit. Still all Marvel, but yeah, I did get other characters, you know, X-Men, Avengers, so on and so forth. So in this episode, I will pre-warn you, please try and stay to the end because there is a lot of pieces to get through. I can't remember the count, but it's at least 20 or 30 pieces. Pretty much when I first started collecting art, as a lot of people tend to do, obviously there's no conventions, no commission lists and things like that, or people don't necessarily know about that sort of stuff. They quite often check eBay, and that's how I discovered Marcelo. There was an art rep that only dealt with Brazilian artists, just up and coming artists. It was not really, there was no big names or anything like that. Marcelo's work sort of really caught my eye, and it pretty much started from there. So I pretty much just started bidding on, you know, like this particular rep would have like 500, 600 pieces from all these different artists, but I gravitated towards Marcelo, and I pretty much only bidded on his stuff. So I pretty much started, you know, I'd win a piece for $10, $20 US, anywhere up to $150, $200, depending on what it was. And also, like obviously once that sort of thing, I became friends with Marcelo. I sort of, you know, get to know him obviously just over Facebook and things like that. Just an online sort of friendship. And I ended up striking a deal where he'd do a whole heap of new pieces, and I would just pick it before they went on eBay or went online. I would just pick and choose what I wanted, and he'd just give me a set price for each piece, and I just buy them. So that's how I ended up with so many of them. Obviously now I try and limit myself to 1 or maybe 2 pieces depending on the artist, but obviously, yeah, it's quite a collection. But as I said, please stick with me for the entirety of the video. I'll try and get through them as quickly as I can, but without sort of just going, you know, like that. But as I said, please stick with me. So might as well get started, and as I said, there's quite a few pieces. So I think the pieces that I started with, I put on top of the pile is, I left Spider-Man stuff to last. I think I did all the mixed stuff first. So probably a good one to start with. Captain America. As I say, he hasn't got a very detailed sort of style. Like, I'd call it simplistic, but it's a very, very clean, very nice look, and that's what gravitated me towards his artwork. So there's Captain America. Make sure I don't double up. Now there'll be a few sort of, well, for me, sort of slightly offbeat characters, ones that not necessarily don't get drawn a lot, or people don't necessarily have as a favorite character. And as I said, because some of them I got cheap, pretty much anything Marvel, I just bought it. So, hence the next one, Gladiator. And obviously not the Daredevil Gladiator, but the Cosmic Gladiator. That one. As I said, I'm trying to leave them up for as long as I can, but I don't want this going for like an hour, so. Another one of my favourite characters outside of Spidey, Punisher. You can see he uses a lot of sort of real dark sort of blacks to fill in a lot of things, but he also uses a lot of very good use of whiteout as well, which a lot of artists tend to do. So there's Punisher. There's a few Daredevil fans out there. Obviously, some of these pieces will have background, some of them will just be a plain figure, but you'll get to see that over the course of all the pieces. There's the Daredevil. Next is a Silver Surfer piece. Obviously, it's quite often hard to draw Silver Surfer unless it's in colour, because you can't really embellish, a big shiny body. I still reckon he's done a brilliant job in that. There's Silver Surfer. Now obviously you can leave comments, say, look, please do another video and show certain pieces, in a bit more detail. I'm quite happy to do that. Or I could, send you pictures via Instagram or something like that. Obviously Mad Spidey's my handle for Instagram. But we'll just keep going. Another one of the more offbeat characters. Got a few cosmic sort of characters, but there's Terrax. Even though I did buy a lot of pieces, there were some that I did pass on. But yeah, I did get quite a lot of them. Obviously with the eBays, I had to win them too. So, but obviously once I'd gone past that, I got quite a few. So there's Electro. There's that one. And there will be a lot of double ups in characters, especially Spidey. Obviously there's quite a few Spidey. But some of the more main characters, Daredevil, Electra, and things like that, there are a couple of each. There's another Daredevil. He even sort of signed his name in the Billy Club there, which I think was pretty cool. There's the Daredevil piece. Another one of my favourite characters outside of Spidey, Ghost Rider. As you can see, he did all the detail in the actual figure itself, nothing really in the background, except for obviously the chain. There's the Ghost Rider. Probably one of my non-Spidey favourite pieces I picked up is Thor. Twirling Mjolnir. It's the Thor. Obviously this is going to be a big character, seeing that the character's going to be coming to the MCU or to the series. Moon Knight. That's one that's sort of obviously less the background. Still sort of good use of shading and sort of depth perception. Another Moon Knight. This one's obviously with the background. Moon Knight. I did pick up a few sort of group ones as well, even though it's not all of them, but there's Avengers versus Galactus. Then you got Hulk and you got Iron Man and Cap, and you got Thor's hammer in there. Obviously there's none of the I don't think there's any of the other characters in there. No, so I'd still call this Avengers versus Galactus. And as you can see with all the sort of the streaky, sort of whiteout bits, as if it's sort of very electric. Very good use of the whiteout in that. A bit more, one of the slightly more offbeat characters, but still a popular one, Nova. I'd say that'd be the Rich Rider Nova, I would say. Very nice piece. Another one of the more offbeat ones, another group shot, Alpha Flight. I'm not very familiar with Alpha Flight, I just liked the piece, it sort of just stood out. I know most of the characters' names, but I just saw that and went, that looks pretty cool. Just the layout and way it's done. Probably would have been nice with background in that one, but I still love the piece all the same. There's Alpha Flight. A bit more of a, sort of a more basic one. I think this might have been one of the earlier ones I got. There's a Silver Surfer. That almost looks more like a, you know, convention sketch, because it looks a little bit more rushed. Well, not rushed, but a little less detail. But it still grabbed me, and I think I got it at a really good price, so I just grabbed it. Silver Surfer. No Marvel collection would be complete without a Thanos. Big hulking beastie cosmic Thanos. Another good use of the whiteout and the negative space again. There's the Thanos. Now we're getting into the X-Men part of the massive lot. First up, we've got a Psylocke. I actually really like the face on this one. Really nice face. Psylocke's one of my more sort of favourite X-Men characters. There's Psylocke. Obviously, as I said, you know, you can always leave a comment, let me know if you want to re-see some of the pieces, because obviously I'm showing them fairly quickly compared to some of the other ones I've done. An X-23, obviously just after she's demolished a Sentinel. Sort of like how it's sort of, she's not the main sort of part of it, it's just this massive Sentinel head, and she's just sitting on top of it saying, look what I've done. There's the X-23. Obviously, if you've got X-Men pieces, you're going to need a Phoenix. Love the negative space Phoenix in the background. It's almost sort of riding it like a wave. Very, very cool. There's the Phoenix. Now this one's got a lot of white out on it. Wolverine versus the Sentinel. He just lopped his head off. Yeah, very, very cool use of the whiteout again. Wolverine versus the Sentinel. Another Wolverine piece, because obviously Wolverine's another one of my favourite non-Spidey based characters, but who he is versus is a little bit different. Wolverine versus Sauron, or Sauron, however you want to pronounce it. Don't want to make it sound too much like the Lord of the Rings sort of one, even though it's similar sort of spelling. Still very cool. You know, Wolverine versus Sauron. I did put this in the X-Men lot. Obviously he's not necessarily just X-Men, but more on his own. Good old Deadpool, the Merc with the mouth. And it's funny actually saying that I actually have this. I don't know whether he may have got this particular pose from another book. He may have, I don't know, I wouldn't say copied it, but he may have similar styled it. But I actually have seen t-shirts pop up with this particular image on it. So I don't know, yeah, as I said, I don't know whether it may be from a book or something. But still, I have the original, so obviously if it's from the book, it's not the original, but another group shot. I would say the negative space would be a Sentinel, so that'd be X-Men versus Sentinel. And like the Avengers sort of piece, where he only sort of saw 3, you actually get quite a few in there, so you have a little tiny Nightcrawler up there. Then you got Storm, Wolverine, Cyclops. You got Jean, Colossus. So there's actually quite a few X-Men in that particular one. Very cool sort of action piece. X-Men versus Sentinel. Just a bit more of a sort of plain sort of piece, but I liked it all the same. Cyclops. Not necessarily anybody's real favourite sort of X-Men character, but some people obviously like him because he's stuck around for long enough. But I still love the piece, so I bought it. Right, that's Cyclops. Before I get to the Spidey pieces, I did actually get a couple of like tinier pieces just as a bonus. I'm mainly an 11x17 or A3 sort of guy, but occasionally, you know, you just have to get smaller pieces. But I'm pretty sure these were given to me as a bonus. So I've got another Electro one. Put that closer because it's obviously smaller. It's Electro drawing her sword. Cool little bonus. And also just a Daredevil sort of bust sort of piece there. Sort of almost reminds me of a Sinkovich sort of piece, especially with all the you know, strokes down here and mixed media sort of style. And sort of bonus Daredevil. Okay, now I'll get to the Spidey pieces. Obviously, Spider-Man's pretty much going to be in every single one of them, either on his own or versus somebody, but still get through them. So obviously, Spidey hanging off the side of a building there. Something a little bit different than a front-on sort of Spidey. There's that one there. Another sort of action pose Spidey, but this one's a front on. Spidey. One of the first Spidey versus pieces. So Spidey versus one of his arch nemesis, Green Goblin. Throwing his pumpkin bombs everywhere. There's that one there. Spidey versus Electro. All use of obviously the whiteout will work quite well with Electro. That one there. And if you're a Silver Age, Bronze Age sort of, especially Marvel collector or even DC, you always love some floating heads. So Spidey with some Rogues Gallery floating heads. It's actually one of my favourite pieces from Marcelo. Nothing wrong with some good old floating heads. There's that one there. Almost a Spidey versus Sinister Six piece, but I think there's only 5 of them there. Oh, we got Sandman, Green Goblin, Mysterio, and Electro. I don't think there's a 6. Yeah, so just the just the 4 of them. I'm about to pounce and try and beat the crap out of Spidey. So that's that piece there. Almost like a sort of a bit of a crossover bit. Spidey versus Juggernaut. There. There are a few just plain villain pieces. There's an Electro one. Obviously went really nuts on the wide out on this one. As I said, it works. It actually works well with Electro. The character that he is and the abilities that he has. There's the Electro. Couldn't be a Spidey collection for me without a Black Cat. Nice Black Cat. Also a Venom. Holding Spidey's mask and his big mitts there. So there's Venom. Another Spidey on his own. Doing a bit of web slinging through the streets of New York. Looks a little bit like a Mark Bagley sort of style. So there's that Spidey. Almost there. Another Electro piece. Cool looking sort of flying cars. See if he sort of blasted them with his electricity and moved them all out of the way. Done the good old superhero landing pose. There's the Electro. And finally at the last piece, Spidey versus Scorpion. Trying to hit him with his big ass tail. Spidey versus Scorpion. Cool. So if you made it to the end, thank you very much for watching the whole entire video. As I did mention a couple of times, if you do want me to do a recap on any of the pieces, just leave some comments in below. Otherwise, you can just send me a message on Instagram. Mad Spidey, it's the same thing as my YouTube channel. But thank you for tuning in today, and yeah, that's basically it for this particular artist series. I will be doing some more obviously in the thing, but they won't be as long as this one. So enjoy the rest of your day, and Spidey out.